And we're back here, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Zach Gelb, Hayley Condon here with you. Temple drops a tough one to Indiana, but it's been a great season for the Temple Owls. Khalif Wyatt has been incredible all year long, and now joining us is the head coach of the Temple Owls, and that's Fran Dunphy. Fran, Zach Gelb, Hayley Condon, how are you?
Doing well, guys. Thank you very much for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. And Khalif Wyatt has been an incredible player for you guys all year long, being the A-10 player of the year. And that performance on Sunday, I know you wanted to get the win, but that was just incredible.
He's an extraordinary offensive basketball player. Some of the things he's accomplished this year are just magnificent. And he's had a great 3-year run. And his freshman year, he didn't get to play very much. But I think that's really set the tone for how well he was going to do over the last 3 years.
To go from playing only 19 minutes his freshman year to being named A-10 Player of the Year his senior year is no small feat. Can you sort of walk us through how Khalif was able to get from point A to point B?
Well, he did not understand, I don't think, how difficult it is to be a college basketball player. It's one of the great lives of our time, I think, being a college athlete and on scholarship and being paid attention to as much as you are. But it takes a lot of work, and he didn't quite understand that early on. But once he got the feel that, that this is really true competition every single day, not only on the court when it comes game time, but really every day in practice, because all those other guys are working so hard. They want those minutes as well. So once that came into focus for Khalif, he showed really what he was all about. He's, again, a guy who has no fear and really wanted the ball when the lights went on.
And that's a good point. And you also saw Keith Pompey wrote an article about Khalif Wyatt, and it really took you from behind the scenes, seeing some of the work that he does with his internship. He seems like an incredible person off the court with some of the stuff that he does within the community.
He's a good man, Khalif. I don't think there's any animosity or bad in his body. I think he's just a good human being, and he's not a perfect human being. None of us are, of course, and he's gotten to really – I think Temple has really helped him be the best person he can be as well. So I think the Temple community deserves a lot of credit for his maturation, and his family's been great as well.
Zach Gelb, Hayley Condon here with you, and you lost 5 seniors after this game up against Indiana, and I know you've been very close covering this team on a daily basis throughout the year, and you're very close with those senior players. What did you say to some of those guys that struggled in that game, that was their last time putting on the cherry and white?
Well, we didn't talk about the strugglers too much. I think what we talked about is that it's a very difficult moment. That last game that you play in college really is it's a moment that for me, on a personal basis, was really hard to figure out. I didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And then Monday comes and Tuesday comes, and you have no practice, you have no workout, you have no exact place where you have to be. All of a sudden you're on your own, and that cocoon, that safety cocoon that you were in for all those years is gone. It's over and done with. And now what is it that you do? You're on your own, and you now have to be a man and figure out what the rest of your life is like. So it's never easy. So those moments for a coach, too, are difficult. What is it that you say? Do you say goodbye to those guys at that moment? You're certainly going to see them again, but it's a very difficult time in that locker room after the last game that you play in a given season.
And a crucial part in this game was the timeout when there was 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Raleigh didn't get the best shot selection. Can you take me through what was supposed to happen on that play?
Well, we were hoping to get the ball to Khalif, and obviously Indiana had different ideas on that. So Khalif, the ball got tipped away from him initially, and then we got the ball back to Raleigh, and Raleigh, other than Khalif, is probably our best playmaker, and because he's typically matched to a forward or a center, and he can make plays from that position, and he gave every ounce of effort that he could. We were trying to get it back to Khalif again, but again, Indiana wasn't going to allow that to happen in that possession. And then we were hoping that we did a good job on that last possession that they had the ball, where Oladipo came up with the 3 that made it a 4-point game. If we could have gotten a stop there and gotten the ball to Khalif right away with, let's say, 10 seconds to go, I would have liked our chances.
And Raleigh, he was clutch down the stretch for this team. He struggled a little bit early on in the season, and his defensive play was incredible against LaSalle, where he had 23 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. How impressed were you with what Raleigh did this year?
Yeah, he's a guy that we will really miss for a lot of different reasons, off the court, on the court, the versatility that he gave to us. He actually started off the game guarding Oladipo and ended the game guarding Zeller, which is pretty remarkable stuff, and did a wonderful job on both of those guys. He was very good on the offensive end. He had a great stick-back layup, and He had a jump shot that was very important for us. So he's a guy that we will really, really miss for a lot of reasons.
I also know one of those other guys you're going to miss is TJ DeLeo, and you talked about it numerous times throughout the season with him and Will Cummings, the relationship they had. If TJ was on the court, Will was the first one to cheer him on. If Will was on the court, TJ was the first one to cheer him on. Can you just talk a little bit more about that relationship and what Will learned from TJ this year?
Well, I think that's still to be determined as Will goes through his last 2 years here at Temple. TJ is, again, the consummate teammate. He and Riley are both, I think, they never cared about themselves and always about the team. So, again, another guy that you will miss tremendously because of the teammate aspect of this. And don't minimize that. It's important what you see on the court, but off the court is critical as well. So those two guys will be they'll be guys that this program will miss, and on a personal basis, I will miss them greatly.
Fran Dunphy joins us in studio. Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Zach Gelb and Hayley Condon here with you. And let's get back to this Indiana game real quick. Besides Khalif Wyatt, the shooting wasn't all that great. 9 of 38 from the field besides Khalif. Do you think this team relied too much on Khalif Wyatt in that Indiana game?
Well, the 38 shots, I would say of the 38, probably 35 of them were pretty clean looks, open looks that I think Khalif got for them because he drew so much attention. The way Khalif scores and the way we wanted to play the game and manage the game very, very well and not get into an up and down part of the game, I thought we did a pretty good job of that. We just needed some other guys to step up and make some shots. But for the most part, I thought we had our game plan was pretty well paid attention to, and we had our chances. It would have been a tremendous opportunity for us to continue to play here, and it's a shame that we couldn't finish it out.
And Scooty Randall, he was great on the defensive end. The offensive end, not so much. He missed a few shots in that game, but defensively, he did keep you guys in the game, and that's a big reason why you guys were up for the majority of the second half. But did you ever think about when Scooty was struggling to sit him down and bring in Dalton Pepper? Did that ever cross your mind during the game?
I did not. I was hoping that Scooty was going to step up and make shots, and he was doing a great job rebounding the ball and defensively. So we were hoping that Scooty would make that breakthrough shot and would result in another couple of things going on. So we went with Scooty, and that was our plan to go that way.
So moving on from this game, next year, obviously everyone wants to get Rasheed Jordan. I know you can't talk about that because of all the NCAA violations with recruiting and everything, but this team, they have some young guys, whether it's Daniel Dingle, DeCozy, or Watson. What do you expect out of those guys coming up in year number 2 in the Temple program?
Year number 2 for those guys
yes.
coming up? Yes. I expect them to be really, really good next year. I think they showed great promise throughout the year. I think those 3 guys are the heart and soul of our team moving forward. So while Will Cummings and Anthony Lee will provide veteran leadership for us, as well as Dalton Pepper, I think those 3 that you just mentioned are guys that are going to have to really step up and do a great job, and I expect that they will.
The effort the Owls put up against Indiana this weekend really garnered a lot of national attention. People who otherwise would have never really watched a Temple game had their interest sparked. How would you describe your team to a person who's never really seen them play and wants to watch them play next year?
Well, I hope we play really good basketball. I don't think we had a great defensive year this year. I thought we had a great defensive game against Indiana, and if we had that kind of effort and focus, that we would have been an even better basketball team this year. But I think we play solidly. I think sometimes we play fast when the opposition will allow us to do that, but we also can play a little more of a half-court game, which late in the year, that's really what it comes down to. It's kind of like NBA playoff basketball. It's really a half-court game. There's not as much up and down as you saw against Indiana. So we can do both. That's what I hope that people will watch, and I hope that we're solid in everything that we do, and solid off the court, and solid in our academic pursuits, and solid in our personal beliefs that it's not about us, but it's about our team and about the community that we serve.
Coach, you're a very gregarious guy, and I know this Philadelphia area means a lot to you.
Never been described as that before, Zach,
really?
But I really appreciate that.
Well, I'll tell you this. So far throughout the course of this whole season, whether it was Jim Nance this morning, Scott Graham about 15 minutes ago, I've got texts from Ian Eagle, Sweeney Murdy, they all saying Fran Dunphy's the best guy in the world. They think he could be mayor of this place.
Of what place is that?
Of Philadelphia. They think you could be mayor here. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Fran Dunphy.
Mayor Nutter. That cost me a lot of money. I have to pay a lot of people off for saying nice things about me. So
but
I appreciate that, Zach.
But LaSalle is a program here that is very close to you as well. You've been an assistant coach there for many years. How nice is it to see Dr. John have some success there and get this team into a Sweet 16?
Well, I think it's a great story. LaSalle is a wonderful, wonderful story this year. I think they've done a great job, and it was wonderful for us to have them here a couple of weeks back and win that game. It was a big win for us. But they have a really good team, and I'm very happy for my alma mater. My alma mater gave me a chance to play college basketball and then coach as well. So I'm grateful for what they gave to me. And it's they and Florida Gulf Coast are pretty neat stories as we move on. We just wish we were in and amongst that group.
What impresses you the most about this Florida Gulf Coast team? Because I saw them, and I know you didn't get to watch a whole lot of them, but I'm sure you've heard of the story so far. First 15 seed to get to the Sweet 16. They're a loose group. They're fun to watch, and Andy Einfield, the head coach, has done an incredible job with them.
Andy has done a wonderful job, and it's a remarkable story, to be quite frank. And I did not see either game because we played around the same time they did, or we were on our way back for the second time that they played on Sunday. So I did not see much of them, but I saw enough highlights to really be impressed with how they played and their attitude. They just think that they're not amongst. There's no fear. They're amongst teams that they can play with. And I saw Andy say something today that, yeah, we can beat Florida. They're respecting Florida, absolutely, which is what we all teach. But there is no fear, and they think they can go in there and knock them off.
Before we let you run, Fran Dunphy in studio, thanks so much for joining us today. But you look at this whole thing of the last 2 years. There's been 3 15s to beat a 1. There was 1 15 to beat a 2, I should say. And then last year you saw 2 number 2 seeds go down in the tournament. And Lapis was on the show with us yesterday, Steve, and he said he thinks a 16 could eventually beat a 1, and he thinks it's coming soon. When you look at the tournament, do you think you could see a 16 beating a 1?
Oh, sure. I think that has the games have been very close throughout the years that 16s and 1s have had just an unbelievable chance to get beat at that point in terms of the one group. But so I think it's coming. Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, we appreciate you coming in studio today. You were great. Best of luck next year. It was a phenomenal season this year, and thanks so much.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you calling me gregarious, too.
Fran Dunphy right there, the head basketball coach of the Temple Owls. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll wrap things up on Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP.